All right, now that we told you that Always Dreaming won the Preakness, more with Dave Pasquale and 10 RNO tomorrow on the Coons Market Black and Gold Sunday Show. And yes, the Penguins, you can pick these wonderful shirts up at Coons Market. I got this at Moon Township. They've got one that is selling them right now in Hopa, but you better get there while selection is best, and they are going quickly. So as Nike says, just do it. We've got a lot to get to in the way of sports. Let me just get you caught up. Adam Frazier, 3 for 5. David Freese, 2 for 3. Ivan Nova, 7 innings of strong work. Pirates beat the Phillies today, and now they play that third game of the series tomorrow at 1:35. You can hear it on 93.7 The Fan. It will be Game 3 of the Eastern Conference Final in the NBA tomorrow. You can watch that tomorrow night at 8:30. And bad news for Boston, who's already down 2-0. Their exceptional player, Isaiah Thomas, out for the rest of the season. He has a hip injury. And James Hahn, after a third-round 64, has a one-shot lead. He is at 12 under heading into the fourth and final round of the AT&T Byron Nelson Classic. More on that to the Golf Channel. You should go right now. And currently on NBC, it is Anaheim and Nashville playing a little hockey. They're in the first period and there is no score. You know, when I think of Omaha, I don't really think of Terrence Crawford. That's Bernie Vukolic's job. He, of course, our fight professor in a moment on the Comcast Sports Line. But I think of my guy who owns this brand, DQ, as in the Oracle of Omaha. It's a fact, folks. Warren Buffett, I really do. And Cecil Smith, my buddy, has wonderful locations in Rochester and Beaver. And I have had a lot of their amazing food. And yes, that soft serve ice cream, scrumptious with a little curl on top. That's a American original. On a day like today and heading into Memorial Day, pack the family in the car and head to a Dairy Queen near you. But also I think of summertime picnics, graduations, all sorts of spring parties. And you got to have the Weber Grill, and you got to have another Mr. Warren Buffett classic. Heinz started right here in the Berg. Listen, a little dab will do you. No hamburger deserves to go without this. That, of course, available there. But when I think of what's also available at Coons Market and has to do with Warren Buffett, hear that sound, folks? Nothing like it. Nothing will quench your thirst like a Coca-Cola. Now, I got to quench my desire after a very long 48 hours to talk boxing. And we talked to Joe Board of Board Boxing Club in Knoxville, Ohio yesterday about it. Bernie's schedule was a little hectic, so we regrouped and got him back today. Bernie Vukolic, you have been telling me about Terrence Crawford for a very long time, and I remember one night sitting in your house watching him fight for the first time, and obviously something special. He is an amazing fighter with 30 victories. And right now, people believe that he is in the same breath as Gennady Golovkin and Canelo Alvarez. Tonight, Felix Diaz, he is part of that main event, Top Rank Bob Arum on HBO Boxing. So tell me what it is about this young man who can go from a traditional fighter to a southpaw right in the middle of the round. He has great boxing skills and wonderful power, and he's wrapped up in a beautiful package. But what is it about this young man from Omaha that you have liked from the very beginning? Good evening.
Number one. Number two, he's got a mean streak about him. Not that I like a mean streak in a person who's walking around the streets, but in that ring, he's got a mean streak, and he comes not just to fight, but to impress. As a result, he's got 21 knockouts out of 30 fights. So he is a power puncher with a 70% knockout ratio versus Diaz, who only has, I think, maybe 9 KOs, so he's not a big puncher. Crawford will have the height and weight advantage. He'll be 3 inches taller and about 3 inches longer reach, and he's already a good boxer, so he's probably going to keep this kid on the end of his jab for the early rounds. I wouldn't be surprised to see a knockout somewhere around the 4th, 5th, 6th round, somewhere in the middle of the fight.
Now, Diaz obviously is a great counterpuncher, and he can build up points. That's great for the amateurs, where he won the Olympic gold. He's got 19 wins. Is he the best opponent out there right now at this stage in time for Terrence Crawford, do you think?
I think, well, they said that fighter was Victor Postal, who Crawford took apart, you may remember, in his last fight. So I don't know if Diaz is his best opponent. He's pretty much worn out the 140-pound class, Rob. There's not much left there for him to do. Frankly, I think this is a fill-in fight for him, something to keep him busy until they figure out where he's going to fight next. You know, he can always go up or down more than likely go up in weight and fight a welterweight or a junior welterweight, someone with a name in that division as a money maker. But this is just a fill-in fight. I don't think it's going to be a competitive fight at all. I could get surprised. I've been surprised a few times, but I don't think this will be the night.
147 limit, 140 limit, welterweight, junior welterweight, as we said, back and forth. Young enough to bulk up, to step up, to maybe fight a Canelo Alvarez down the road in the middleweight division, or a Gennady Golovkin. Does he have the skills, and do you think that's a part of his future, or at least his plans down the road?
You know, it would mean that he would have to go up 20 pounds in weight to even have a shot at hanging with either one of those guys. Don't forget, Canelo in his last fight fought at 164 pounds. And you're talking about a guy who made weight to fight at 147 tonight. That's a big difference, and if you put that weight on, you're usually going to lose some hand speed, and while you may not lose the punching power, you've lost the hand speed, and that's a big determining factor in how much power you do punch with.
I'm really excited for...
I mean, look, you'd be putting a small guy in against a big guy if he fought Alvarez, and you'd be putting a small guy and with a monster if he fought Golovkin. I don't think he's got the strength to fight either one of those two. Not to say that they wouldn't make a match and make a lot of hoopla about it, because they're named fighters, and it's all about selling tickets and putting people in seats.
Well, as I was saying, nice to see HBO giving the fight fan a chance to watch this one on them. And hopefully folks have Comcast. They're going to be able to sit back and enjoy this tonight. He has great boxing skills. There's no doubt about it. Now, are you still a non-believer when it comes to Mayweather and McGregor? I mean, I keep hearing about this fight day in and day out, and it seems like it's getting closer. Are you telling me that it's definitely not going to happen, or are you starting to become maybe just a little bit of a believer?
I don't remember saying that it was never going to happen. I might have said that McGregor wouldn't have a chance. I still feel that way. I just heard today that he got a boxing license and moved to Nevada, to Las Vegas. So why would you do that if you're going to fight also Rand? You know, he's gearing up to fight Mayweather. That fight will probably happen, I'm guessing, sometime either very late this year or early next year. It would be interesting to see. First of all, don't forget, Mayweather's been out of the ring for a couple of years, and by then he'll be out almost 3. So I don't really know how much he's lost. Certainly wouldn't have lost much in the way of his foot speed or his hand speed. But that's a game, Rob, as you know, you got to be in the ring, you got to be in the gym constantly to be at the top of your game. McGregor's a tough guy, has a decent chin from what I've seen in some of his UFC fights. But he's not a boxer. You know, he's just a scrapper and a whatever they call that particular discipline that he exercises in the UFC ring. But you know, it'd be something that probably a lot of us would buy the pay-per-view. I'm sure it'll be a pay-per-view. It probably has the capacity to do a million sales. The all-time leader.
Well, I'm a purist. I like what they do in the UFC, the MMA, but I just wish boxing could have enough to stand on its own. And we just need more dynamic fighters, as Mayweather has been his entire career, but they need to be on the other side of 30. And let's just hope that we're going to be able to find them down the road. And I think Terrence Crawford, because you're usually spot on, is one of them. Bernie Vukovic, the fight promoter on the Comcast Sports Line. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about lights out for me. 1:30 in the morning comes quick. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. on Rob Pratte Saturday. Of course, CBS Radio News, the Acura, the forecast, and some of the things we'll be talking about in the first part of the program. More on President Donald Trump's day in Saudi Arabia, moving on to Israel, which I believe will be the most fascinating part of this trip when he sits down with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, especially with some of the recent headlines of late. And then he will be in places like Belgium and Italy as well. So we're going to be tracking that story right through the first part of the week. Have yourself a great night, and thank you again for joining us in the Pratt Pack Gym. Tonight, HBO, Felix Diaz, and Terrence Crawford, the young man from Omaha who packs a big punch. Don't miss it. Good night.